To define a student parent, I think it's really a superhuman.
Yeah, a student parent is somebody who wears a lot of different hats.
I think a student parent, simply put, would be anybody that is taking classes and has a kid at the same time and understands what it means to add a whole extra life role on top of being a parent. It's really hard.
It's hard. It's challenging. You have to have a lot of like internal motivation to continue doing it, because there have been several times where I've just wanted to like quit my program and say like I'm not doing this anymore. I don't have time and I don't have the mental or emotional strength or energy to continue this.
I think it's hard to say what the hardest part. I think the universal thing about being a parent is that it's a full-time job, right? You wake up in the morning and there are kids there. Before you go to bed, there are kids that need to go to bed. The research shows that student parents really experience a lot of time poverty. They have less time than their peers. One study found that parents of preschool age children actually have 86 hours less of discretionary time a week than their peers. The experience of, both faculty and staff and student affairs professionals historically is not working with student parents. Because of that, the ways we do things isn't suited for them having these additional responsibilities, experiencing time poverty.
I could say one of the challenges would be housing.
Food security is huge. Transportation is huge. Childcare, I think, is huge.
Lack of support is like the number one thing.
When I first applied here, nobody told me through my entire process of applying for like housing that there's no housing options where you're allowed to like live with a kid. And I found out after I did the whole application process, and then they sent me an email like, oh, I'm sorry, like we didn't realize you had a kid, like we don't like have options for student parents. And I was like, okay.
Student parents are far more likely than their non-parenting peers to experience high rates of basic needs insecurity. 68% experience housing insecurity. We know that 53% of student parents experience food insecurity and 17% experience homelessness.
I actually am not taking a class this semester because I don't have support right now. I don't have anyone who can watch my daughter while I'm in class.
Having to keep a whole other person alive, like on a daily basis, like it requires a lot of work.
And grad students are so poor. We can't afford all of that and be able to go through, our coursework and everything and be able to graduate on time. So I think those are some of the unique challenges that we face.
The other challenge they can face is just things not being equitable, especially in the classroom or with academics.
I have a class right now that every single week we have like a 30 to 40 question lockdown browser like camera exam every week, due every Sunday. And I had to email the professor and like break it down for her. I was like, I'm just letting you know, like I'm getting these in. However, it's extremely difficult for me to do them because I plan all my homework out to be done at the beginning of the week on the days that I can take my kid to daycare and the days that I'm not working. Like I have my schedule so specifically set to be able to be a working mom and also achieve my goals as a student parent as well.
Equal is not always equitable. With any group that we have, if we see that there are areas where they are not able to succeed due to issues of inequity, we should try to level the playing field. I think that my life experience and my work experience and my experience having already lived alone and managed an entire life before I became a student parent has really helped me. I don't know how an undergraduate student in their 20s would be able to navigate all of this without some type of institutional support.
There's lots of qualitative research studies that show that having a sense of community among student parents has an enormous impact on being able to stick with your education for academic success and well-being.
Whenever we get together, it's like seeing old friends and family again, and we just jump back in and start talking about catching up on everything. It's like we've known each other for years and years. It's really a beautiful, wonderful community.
I think it's just really important too for students to provide more of a network, especially for students who don't have family here, right? Who don't have that external network of community support, of people that can help them, that the university then would like step in that capacity, right?
We may not be at the forefront of the types of like programming and engagement activities that they are planning. And I think that comes across very clearly when, you know, it's an event that it may not clearly say that you can bring your child, right, to a specific event, or having a separate space where the child can be engaged and be safe while you're doing whatever else that you need to do.
Like, student parents are generally very motivated and dedicated students, you know, because they're giving up all this time with their child, and they are probably doing it to improve their situation in some way because they have a child, or they wouldn't go into it lightly, you know, if it wasn't going to do something for themselves or their family.
I don't think I would be where I'm at if it wasn't for her, because I was a lot more aimless before her. So having her and the motivation to like give her the life that she deserves and like the role model that she deserves and everything is why I am where I'm at.
I really do think that we need to figure this out. The family housing piece is, I think, a brilliant idea because Mason wants to really market itself as one of the most diverse schools in the country, right? If you are able to bring your whole family, and universities want these dorms to be filled, to encourage students to come back to the on-campus housing, I think family housing can be a great way to start.
If we're striving to be a diverse campus, we should be diverse in all definitions of that word, which means that we need to have structural policies and spaces on campus that feel welcoming to student parents. I personally would never be the student who takes my child to class because I don't feel like it's the norm. I don't feel like it would be appropriate to do so. And I think that's partially because as a society, like, we've been taught that to be a student means a certain thing, and having a child is not a part of that thing.
When you're supporting a student parent, you're not just supporting like that student, like you're supporting a whole other life too, because if you're helping improve that student parent's life and achieve their dreams, like you're inadvertently also doubling the life of that child that child's gonna have too, because then they get to experience a whole different version of life with their parent. So it's like a 2-for-1, and then it's also good for the campus and good for the stats. And so I feel like of all the demographics, like there's just so many upsides to being supportive of student parents.